Hi, I'm Valerie Bogard, analyst at Tab Group, and I'm here with Igor Ganta, who is CEO of Market Profit. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. So I want to talk about one area that's really just exploding in the capital markets right now, and that is social media analytics.
Right.
It seems like every other week there's a new company that has new solutions that they say is the best, out there.
Right.
And a lot of these companies have ways of filtering content so that they get a more refined search.
Right.
But they don't really focus on the Twitter handles or the people that are putting out the content themselves.
Right.
And your company, Market Profit, has actually developed solutions that focus on this new way of refinement, if you will. So would you kind of describe that process a little bit, or how are you actually picking up Twitter handles that are the best?
Sure. So we focus in on the stock-related stream on Twitter. Any tweet that has a ticker with a $sign or the cash tag. But the unique approach that we took to further refine the stream and focus in on who the top influencers are with the best quality of predictive information is we came up with a quantitative way to measure the predictability of every message poster's tweets. So we measure them based on what kind of information they gave, how accurate they were, and how predictive they were. And what we find is that significantly reduces the noise in the stream.
So are you evaluating the Twitter handles by their background at all, or is it just solely based on the content that they're producing on Twitter?
Sure. So we actually ignore any background on the individual. We specifically thought that it was important to kind of let the market decide who was the most predictive or not. And by doing that, we think that's a purer way of defining performance, which is to proverbially let the market decide if you were predictive or not versus how popular potentially you were.
Right. So then I also understand that you can define who is the best for certain stocks in certain sectors.
Right.
So how do you go about doing that?
Sure. It's the same methodology. So we rank everybody on a daily basis based on their overall portfolio of predictions of stocks, but then we actually drill down per security, and we identify for you the top influencers on our website that had the best predictability historically for a defined window of time per stock. So you can easily go to Apple's page and see who are the top 3 market profit tweeters or bloggers, if you will, based on our proprietary scores.
So obviously people in the industry always want to know, can you actually make alpha from social media?
Right.
So what have you found first based on the crowd and further down based on market profits?
Sure. So we think social media can be predictive. We think there's alpha even in the general, what we call crowd signal, which is information that we gather from everybody prior to ranking people. And we've back tested it and we've shown that there is alpha. But what we found was when we generate an alternative signal, what we call the market profit signal, which is the further curated and narrowly defined stream that focuses in on those predictors that have the best performance, that stream, which is very unique in its properties and has a lot more noise, actually has even more alpha and more incremental predictive capability above and beyond the crowd. So it's somewhat intuitive, but we were happy to see that mathematically that was the case.
Mm-hmm. And how is this alpha really distributed? I mean, are you seeing users who are mostly just quants, or is there a possibility for long-term investors to kind of start, to get on the social media bandwagon? Or
Sure. So we're a big evangelist of social media, and what's interesting to us and what we found is that even though places, crowdsourced informational places like Twitter and other social media websites are very real-time, near-term predictions, general trends do get picked up over weeks and months and not just minutes and hours. And so what we've shown, and you can see some of this on our research page on our website, is that sentiment and market mood can be predictive over longer time frames, not just short time frames. So we think it's actually has a broader appeal to the retail community as well, who aren't necessarily high frequency trading this. Although the early adopters and the first movers are quant funds who are already consuming that kind of information and building trading strategies off of it. We've recently seen a very big pickup in the interest for this data as an additional research tool by the broader investment community.
That's a really interesting point. I think that especially with social media analytics, you're hearing a lot from quants, a lot from HFTs,
Right.
And not so much from these longer term investors.
Right.
So the fact that it has the capability of becoming adopted all over the industry, I think that's real staying power for social media.
Yeah, I believe so. I kind of liken it to, this is a new category of information. It never existed before, and because it exists now, people are starting to curate it, listen to it, because it does move markets, both in the long and the short term. So we're not advocating that it's the sole tool to use for research, but certainly it should be another arrow in your quiver when whether you're a high-frequency hedge fund or a retail investor, to at least tap it for some kind of information. And we go a long way to further narrow down the sea of message posters and bloggers out there, especially for the retail community, to be able to filter and more easily narrow down and curate the stream to find the best predictors with the highest quality of information.
Well, I hope those that are watching really listen to this great, information, and hopefully start pursuing social media analytics themselves.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks very much.